So hello everyone and welcome back to this channel, and on today's video we are going to continue working in this amazing project made by the student Harpreet. And in the previous classes we were working in this navigation bar, and today I want to continue here. I'm very excited because today we will be finally working on the animations and the rest of this banner. If you did not watch the previous classes, I highly suggest you to do that. This is this is the video number 3 of this project, and I recommend you to watch the first and the second one. Today I am going to be using a couple of advanced techniques, so if this is something new for you, don't worry, I will probably also show an alternative solution for that in another video. But if you want to learn more about position relative and position absolute, I'm also going to record a video. If this video is already recorded when you're watching right now, I'm gonna let the link in the card, but also in the description of this channel. But also we're gonna work with keyframes, and this is going to be in another class, in another tutorial as well. So let's start. And before we start, I just want to make a couple of changes in the previous code that we have. I noticed that the links are using actually a different font family. So for the links we are using the Montserrat font family. Let me increase the size of the text for you. So if you're watching in your telephone, you're gonna see it better. So the links are using Montserrat, so I don't need to provide this information again and to the buttons, because every button will be actually a link as well. And I will actually just put it there. So all the links now will be using the Montserrat font family. So let me just check here if I'm not giving. Oh, and by the way, the buttons, except for this language button, is in white color back, and is in the text is in white color. So I'm also going to provide to the BTN the color white. Let me just organize it a little bit, the code here, because I don't like the way it looks right now. So link as a tag, I like to organize my tags in the very beginning of the code. Then I have reusable classes and components. So you have the container, section title if is centered, the section title paragraphs, section content, this is temporary, I'm going to remove this soon, and buttons are also general elements. Then I have typography. I know this is a tag, but I could just bring this to the top actually. I think it's gonna make more sense. Okay, so I'm going to bring colors typography, right here, to be continuing the logic I use to organize my code. Of course, it could be even more detailed, but I guess this is enough. And so in general, the website is using the Poppins font family, let's say paragraphs, and for the titles is using Playfair Display, and for the links Montserrat. Very nice combination for fonts. And here we have the reusable classes and components, as I said, container, section title, section content. I will remove buttons, and I think that's all we need to get. Colors just for reference at the moment, but eventually I am going to show you an option on how you can manage the background color and text color using classes for that. It can be cool. It will be nice, especially when you have super specific elements like here in the cards. When we are going to code this section, I will probably explain about that. Then we have about the layout specifically. We have the head with this specific coding, but I can just actually remove the code from header here. Footer is of course temporary, just to have a placeholder, as you can see right here. The footer will be in the last class, and we worked in this nav bar in the previous class. So today I'm going to explain a bit more about, not a bit more, to be honest, it will be a quite long video, much probably. I want and I like to explain in detail and the reason why you were using this technique or the other technique or this property. So I appreciate your feedback. If you think that I am explaining too much and I am repeating too much, I'm really sorry about that, but this is the way I like to teach. So here we were working in the navigation, in the nav bar in the previous class, and I'm gonna put a border here, of course, just for visualization. This will be in 10 pixels, let's say, a solid and blue, why not? So for now we have this blue border around the nav, and this is my nav element. So no worries about the logo. The logo will be receiving a yellow background coming from the graphic that is right here. So this is going to create enough contrast so we can see Heartbeat and this detail here, which right now we cannot see because I just generally applied a red color in the background. So the other thing that I'm going to do and I'm going to explain is, let me see here. Oh, this is not what I want to remove. I actually just want to remove, can I remove this? No, I cannot actually. But what I'm going to be doing right now is this area right there. So you just need to ignore the strawberry for a moment and the leaves as well. And my plan is to make the background to be generally red. And of course, I'm going to apply this rectangle here with some opacity. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. And then this yellow shape right here will be probably a pseudo element, but I prefer to work with a real element. I don't know, I just think that it gives us more flexibility. And of course, the overflow to be hidden so we can make this move. My idea is to get this yellow rectangle or square. I don't know the exact shape of that, but I'm gonna use, initially at least, I'm going to use a square to make that. And I'm gonna, as you can see, it has a kind of a rotation. I don't want to work with clip path. I just want to, I don't know, I think this is going to be a better idea, but let me know in the comments if you have any other suggestion. So I want to make, when the user enter the page, one of the things that is going to animate is this graphic here. I'm going to make a movement, a rotation inside the website, okay? And it's going to reveal the text that is there. Not sure yet about the animation for text and for the social media icons, but for sure I'm gonna think about that just to provide you options. You don't need to put animations everywhere, but I'm going to kind of exaggerate because I want you to have options the moment you create your banner. This could be done with just a simple background image, right? And if you want to simplify, well, depending if this was, for example, a real project and the client has a budget, I would try to make it fast. Depending on how many hours you are working in the project. So if you have enough time, I would suggest to make it super cool with a very cool animation. If not, well, you will need to simplify, and in this case you could just use the entire background as a background image, and including the strawberry and the leaves as well. So let's start. I'm really excited. So for this part here right now, what I want to do is I'm going to give a red background to the entire thing. As I told you, this yellow element will come later, and I am going to put these elements inside my container just because they are using the exact same container div level that I have here. And then I'm going to put on the left side the text and the right side the social media icons. So let's start. For the HTML, I want to show you something first. So one thing you have to decide, and this is an important decision depending on the rest of the website, depending if this is going to be managed by WordPress or not. So you have a couple of decisions to be made. for the moment, I'm going to simplify. So what I'm going to do is I'm creating this first section, which will be a main banner. And the main banner is this area here. Okay, so I'm going to show you a first solution that is actually more simple, in a way that you can put the nav inside as this banner. So I'm going to show you how it can be done. Let's say div container, and then I would just include right now here, let me think, this could be, I'm just going to include a lot of them. It's not even, I'm just going to make this 100 VH. So for this element right now, we're going to have, so main banner and the div container, and then if you just and simply, I'm going to make this here. If you just apply for your section main banner, let's say a height of 80 VH for a moment. I will put 100 VH later, and the background red. What is the code for the red? This one. So we have this guy here, and by the way, I also want to put temporarily in the main area. Well, I'm gonna do this one, not now. I was just going to put a border also in the main area to separate from the other items, but I'm not gonna do this right now. So here we have the height for this section and the background, and I think this is enough for the moment. So what we're gonna see here, and yeah, why not? I'm gonna put the H1, and this is my H1. So the H1 will be, is it red? No, is it? I'm gonna make it white for a moment. Don't worry, this is going to be something temporary, as I say. The font size will be, I don't know, 80 pixels, and the color white. Okay. So, in a very simple manner, this is what we have so far. If we go back to the code, we have this. So this red background is the banner, the section that I am calling main banner, and this is the first section of the main. And why I would do that instead of just calling the entire thing as a header? Well, what could happen, and what usually happen in many websites, is that you have the header being the same header that's shared with all the other pages. But for the front page, you're going to have a specific banner. So this specific content in a specific page, in my opinion, this should be inside the main tag of your code, right? So when I go to contact, for example, probably this banner will be like smaller, not so high, and it will have other kind of content and stuff, let's say a Google Maps. And my favorite way to do that is doing this way. But now I'm going to change this for just for a moment. I'm going to change this background for pink. So I will just change the color of this background for a moment, because I want to show you what is going to happen when we apply the changes in the code in a minute. So this main banner, which now is a red color, I'm just going to comment that, not even needed. Background, I'm going to make it to be what color? Let's say green. Why not? So if we check the code right now, of course this is green. Then we have the nav, and then we have this that actually is the first section. I know I don't have a header right now, but I'm going to explain that soon. And the moment I apply to my nav, okay, position fixed, and I give a top 0 and left 0, what is going to happen? So we have this here. Okay, so what happens is that my nav gets out of the flow, and it's going to take only the necessary space depending on its content, and the next elements, so the main block, the main entire block with all the other sections, are moving up to, let's say, to fill this let's say gap that was left by the navigation bar. And how we can fix that is pretty simple. So we can fix that by giving a width 100%. The width is 100%. And as you can see here, let me just temporarily also apply to my main banner. Let me center the text. So I'm going to use a display flex, a justify content center, and the align items center. So I have my text here on the center. So let's imagine though, let's imagine then that now I'm going to put it back to the right color, and I'm going to remove, first let me check here, so I have the red and the red color here. So when I remove, for example, this border, what you're going to see is that the banner and the navigation bar are working as a continuation. They look as the same component, and when you scroll, your navigation is actually in fixed position. This could be the most simple solution, and then instead of using nav, you can have also the header, then you put the nav inside. This could be your elements to keep the HTML more descriptive. So this is one solution that you can use, again, if you really want to have the navigation bar and the section separated. And then, of course, in an ideal situation, this will be transparent, because so the navigation bar will be transparent, because I want to use that yellow graphic right here to be appearing also in the nav bar. This is of course a bit more complicated solution, and then for example when we arrive in a certain point, let's say here, then the navigation bar is going to receive a background color, for example. So you have many options to do that, and usually the designer responsible for the project, if you were just doing the front web, the front end part, if you're just doing the HTML and CSS, the designer or the responsible for the project or the client is going to tell you what is the option that is preferred. So let's start just going back to the code right now, and I am going to remove this solution here, or actually I could let it there. I'm just going to change this background color for pink at the moment. Oops, background should be pink. You can, by the way, you can either use background or background color, both are going to work. So let's start working in this main banner. So I have the main banner and I have the container, and then let's just also change this here. I don't need this here anymore. And then you have this section main banner. For the moment, I am going to keep them close because I am going to change them at the same time. But eventually, I am going to put this section code here organized in a good position, which is right there. Okay, following the same sequence we use in the HTML. So first we have the section main banner. This is going to be a little comment, the main banner element. You can even also include here end of. When you copy and paste, this is going to be easier to recognize the beginning and the end of your code. That's much faster. We have the main banner, and inside it you have the container. I don't need to do anything about the container. Just actually include a bit of borders. And why I'm using these borders? Just to give you a visual reference of what we are doing and where we are working. So here I have these flex parents. So we have the main banner here. Actually, the banner has a container, and the container should be in the center. Okay, so I am going to do this right now. So the display flex of the main banner is responsible to center the container, and the parent flex inside the container is responsible to position the elements in justify content space between. Okay, I think this is going to be a good approach. What I need to do here is, inside the container I have the main banner flex, which is basically the parent flex that is going to manage what? The left side and the right side. In the left side I am going to put my text box, and this is just my choice for a class name that I usually put in my elements. I'm just going to also include here a little comment, which is the end of the class, the end of the class container, command, question mark. So here I have this reference, and this is because I will have several divs in here. So this is the text box, text comes here, and the sibling will be the social media icons holder. And I am not going to use the UL here directly because, I don't know, maybe later I want to have a more fancy animation, and this extra div gives me the possibility to work in it with more independency. So this is going to be the social media holder, and then you have the UL, which is social media list. I always like to give classes to my UL because I can operate the LIs and even the links inside it, being this specific. So for my UL, I am going to give the LI, which has a link that contains a social media icon. As you can see, we're kind of going in very deep in the indentations. And for social media icons, I will, for now, I'm just going to put icon 1, and then in a minute I am going to show you how I can use Font Awesome, for example. 3. Be very careful when you copy and paste your code, so just make sure you are closing all the tags you are working on. If you click here, for example, you see, at least I am using Sublime Text. I click this div here. This div has now a little underlines in there, and it's showing that this is closing the main banner flex, for example. So this is the parent flex, and as I did before, I like to make sometimes, most of times, a comment showing what is the class that I'm closing here. So it keeps the code more easy to manage. Easier to manage. Alright, so we have icon number 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's actually a number 5, but I'm not going to include this right now. And then we have this text right there. So let's see how it comes along when I have to make the rest of the code. This is going to be my, just copy, main banner flex, which is display flex and justify content space between. So for this project, I'm going to have the, 2 display flex elements. One of them is to manage the position of the container. So I want to position this container here in the center of the entire banner, and the other display flex is to position each element on a different side. It might be unnecessary depending on your plans for the project, but in my opinion, this is going to be better for managing the elements. And now what is happening here right now is that my container is just taking the necessary space of the of the content, and this is because the container is a displayFlex child related to my banner. So how I can fix that is, well, I have a couple of options. The way you can fix that is by giving to your, you know what I can do? I can just consider, no, I'm going to need the container. So what I can do here is just to go to my container, section, main banner, and the container, I can apply a fixed width, which will be, because if I give a max width, it's not going to be ideal. So I'm going to give a width for it, and it's going to be the same max width of the container, 1000 pixels. This will solve the problem, but I don't like this solution. What did I do wrong? Okay, this is a section, main banner. Yeah, if we do this solution here, now I have a fixed width to the container. But I'm not sure if I like this solution. So let me just think a little bit more. What should I do? Well, I also don't want to use this as a child and this as a child of the entire banner. Or actually, that could be also a better solution. Then I give a line item center. But the problem with that is that the elements will not be in the limited area. So what if I give max width 1000 pixels? I don't think this is going to be a good idea because the elements are not long enough. As you can see, they are not being filling the entire width that I need. Okay, so then in this case, this is not going to be responsive in, how can I call that, in a fluid manner. This is going to have 1000 pixels, and then eventually when we reduce the size of the window, we would need to change manually also the width of this part there. Not ideal, but this is the solution I think we should use for the moment. Okay, so for the social media icons, we're going to have Twitter, Google+, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. And then we just need to use the Font Awesome icons. In this case, I can have here a Font Awesome CDN. And we're going to take the CDN for Font Awesome version number 5. So I have the link here. And I can use this link in the head of the HTML. Here we can put, for example, Font Awesome. And paste. Oops, not this way. You're gonna have a link. And you're gonna paste it there. Now I can use the Font Awesome options. And for Font Awesome, I also have collected them. I'm just going to make it easier, putting side by side right now, and then I can just basically get the code from Twitter. Is this here, and I'm gonna use it. Give me a second. I'm gonna put the Twitter code right there, and of course the link will come later. Next one, Google+. You click in here to copy the HTML, icon number 2. Next option, Facebook, icon number 3. Next option, Instagram, icon number 4. Then you have another element, which is Snapchat. Option number 5. Alright, so we have the elements in there. And if we reload the page right now, you're gonna have, where is it? Here. You're gonna have the icons in the left side. but we need to make some changes. We need to apply some changes. Background is yellow, and the color for the text is because Font Awesome is treated as a text, so you're gonna change the color. So let's work in it right now. It's very simple. You have the section main banner. We can just call it the main banner, but for this purpose I don't need to be so specific. I just gonna select my social media list. Not sure if I will need this later for the animations, but I just let the class in there. So I have this social media list. Social media list style will be none. And I can define here the social media list li. They having a color of will be red. This code here. And the background for the li will be the yellow code, which I have there. So I do not recommend you to work with paddings, because each icon has a kind of box around it. It has a something wrapping them. So I just recommend you to define a width and a height to your LIs. So I'm going to define a width, let's say 30 pixels, a height 30 pixels as well. And you have the justify display flex to center the icon in the middle. Also display flex as well. You have the justify content center, align items, also center. And then this might be enough, of course, you forgot border radius 50% to make it circle, and a margin bottom of maybe 12 pixels to give the distance between them, as you can see right here. Okay, let's gonna check if this is enough. If not, I will just collect this section here, and I'm going to make the icon. Well, I have the link still, but you have also the icon, or I guess we can change the font size in the LI as well. Let me just check that. Just making a test. So the font size here, I'm going to exaggerate just to check if this is working, or actually I wanna use I can use the inspector for that purpose. So let me check now how it looks so far. And then, yes, this is looking cool. I don't know the exact size for the icons, but I think this is cool. This is good. It looks nice. So let's now work with by the way, the over is not working yet. Oh, and another thing, I recommend you to apply the height and the width not to the LI, actually, to the link. And this is because if you do apply this to the link, the width, the height, the display flex, and the other stuff, you are going to give a larger area for the user to click. So this can be pretty useful. You don't want to make your client to click it specifically in the link. You want the client to have the power to click in the how can I say, to click in a larger area, so the whole LI, let's say, the whole circle. So for this purpose, oh, sorry for that, and just actually going to do is, let me go back here. I'm gonna make some changes in this code. Okay, I'm gonna copy here, and what I was trying to say is that your link inside the LI will be responsible for, it can be for the color, it can be responsible for the background, the width, the height, the display flex, everything, maybe except for the background color. So the border radius and the background color could be the LI. I'm not sure if the background, if the border radius is ideal to be in the background. Let me think a little bit about that. So you know what, I just think that we can apply the entire characteristics to the link. maybe just not the margin bottom, that I would not do that. So this, we can do this selection again, and then is the LI responsible for the margin bottom in this case, and I put 12 pixels, and I remove this from here. Let's see how it looks like. I think this is going to be better, and yes. So as you can see now, you have the entire circle is clickable instead of just the icon. And now we have to make this text area in here. I think the video for the animation will come the next, because this video is just taking too long. But let's go, let's keep working. Then we are going to make this, text and right here. So what do I need for the text area? I'm going to need the H1, a paragraph, and the button. But this button is bigger than the other ones. Yes, I guess it is. So I'm going to use this specific. Even the paragraph looks bigger, no? It seems bigger. I'm gonna check the documentation, but let's do it first. Text comes here, so I have the H1, which says, oh, let's check from the documentation. So in the section number 1, you have a text saying, get fresh fruits today. Is it right? Get fresh, yes, exactly. So we have this one, get fresh fruits today. Font size is 60. Okay, I can memorize that. Okay, cool. Then I have a paragraph that says save up to font size 20. Okay. If I remember well, my paragraph has 18 or 16. The other ones, yeah, they have 18. So this will be specific paragraph, and I guess it's also bold. And the button shop font size also 20 pixels. Okay, cool. Shop now. This will be a button. Shop right now. 20 pixels. And just to check if in the last section the buttons also have the same icons. You have the icons in here, section 5. Oh, this is actually the footer. So here I have paragraphs. I cannot see right now. Small paragraph. Add to cart. Yes, 20 pixels as well. So okay, so all the buttons have 20 pixels of font size, which is good. Okay, so now we have the entire text box done. The text box, what I mean is this area here. So let's go back to the CSS, and this will be the last part of this video. For the continuation of this video, you're gonna check the part number 4, and this will be for the animation of the header, the banner. Okay, so cool. Let's make this button here. Let me check. Font size. I did not establish a font size yet. Did I? No, I didn't. So font family, font size 20 pixels. And this is all right. Okay, so let's go next. Or did I give the font size or the font family? Font family is here, but the font size it's not. So no problem. This is color white. I did not establish also a background color because we have two buttons that are red, but I could do it here. Background is red. And the other ones will be exceptions. So general code or global, background red, the buttons will have background red and color white and the other stuff as well. Just going to remove this red from here. Okay, looks cool. Then let's do the text box area. And for the text box area, we are working inside this section here. So because the text box comes first in the HTML, I also make it first in here. So before the social media list, I'm going to position my main banner text box, and I'm going to say that this text box has, well, not the text box specifically, it doesn't have anything in general. As you can see, it's aligned to the left, so it's the default. What I'm going to say here is that I have get fresh fruits, and the name fresh and the name fruits are inside a span. Okay, actually, I guess we're gonna need to limit the size of the text box. I'm gonna show you why in a minute. So if you work now in this, I just lost my element. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. So I'm going to give this a border. Okay, so you have a 5 pixel solid blue. Then in the main banner text box H1, this is going to be all the H1s. Only the paragraph is specific. So the paragraph is actually font weight. I'd say 600. I'm gonna check it later. And it's a font size specific, 20 pixels. So this is why I make the paragraph inside text box to be specific. And in this case, I'm also using the main banner, but this is just more a reference on my code than really a necessity to be specific. So, and the H1, I'm just going to use my typography area to make it. So the H1 is font size 60 pixels. I'm gonna check it later if the H2 is also 60 pixels. I cannot remember right now. 60 pixels, and it is, the font family is Playfair Display as well. So I could, for example, I could generalize it. No, because the H4 is not going to be the same. But no problem. I'm gonna say the font family is this one. All right. Font family Playfair Display, font size 60 pixels. The font weight in general is regular, so 400. And the color is going to be black. However, if I have a span inside the H1, it will be a font weight, I guess bold. Bold is usually 700. Yeah, the 800 is extra bold. And then it will be the color red. Where is my color red code? Is right here. If you want to make it general, you can also do it here, right? It's going to be 900. Okay, so I'm going to use 900 as well. So you can use H1 span, comma. This is going to apply to the H1 span and the H2. The spans inside the H2, the exact same code. I don't need to do this here. Right? So what's next? Well, I'm going to apply later, if necessary, a margin button. And then the save up to 1500 is going to be red, and then the button shop now. Let me just check if I have it there. Yeah, shop now, which I don't have an href just yet. And this is going to be in a span. 1500 can remove from here. Let's see. Oh, and by the way, of course, this could receive, I could make a class, let's say red text. Why not? And then I could apply the same class everywhere I have this happening. This would give me less lines of CSS code. I can do that later in the moment how we're gonna clean the CSS. But for now, let's just do that. If I have text box P, if the span inside a paragraph in the text box area, this will be a color red. Do I have its code easy here? Yes, I basically memorized it already. Okay. So what's next? Let's check the result, and we are going to have a problem here. So as you can see, the the amount of text is too long and it's not taking, is not breaking to the next line. So I don't want to use, and of course we can also not see it. But for the moment I'm going to apply to my text box a background gold so you can see the components. Well, for some reason the span here is not working. I'm going to check it in a second. But what I'm trying to say is that the first thing we're going to solve is that I don't want the text having this entire size. So I can just use BR to break in the lines, but I also prefer to not use this. I am going to give a max width to this text box. And the max width necessary to make it happen will be a max width, let's say 400 pixels. 400 pixels is breaking my paragraph. However, my paragraph, I think the font weight is too thick right now. I'm gonna try the 500. Yeah, 500 definitely looks much better. But still, I need my text box to be a bit bigger, a bit longer. Well, the problem with that is that if we check here, get fresh, and then the fruits and today are in the next line. So what I could make is reduce the size of the paragraph. In my opinion, this looks much smaller, but in the documentation it says 20 pixels in here, so I want to respect the documentation. But let me just check how it looks if I reduce this to 18 pixels. Well, that would maybe solve the problem. In the text box, go into this size here, 416. I guess, I believe this is the best solution, right? So let's do it 416 pixels max width, and then the paragraph, I am just gonna let it as a regular paragraph. In this case, just the font weight is special. The text box has a max width 416 pixels. And one thing I forgot, super important for the buttons, is the border radius. I'll just apply 20 pixels, might be enough, even more than enough. Okay, a bit more of border radius. Gonna check why the span is not working. I'm gonna check this in a second as well. And then I'm going to apply a margin bottom to separate the also the F, capital F for fresh and for fruits, and then margin bottom here, some margin bottom there, then box shadow, and this is going to be enough. So box shadow here, I don't know, it's more to the left than bottom, I guess. Yeah, more to the bottom, in the centered, so 0 pixels, maybe 5 pixels, then there's a lot of blur, so I'm gonna say 12 pixels. Yeah, 12 pixels. And the color is that, but I want to use RGBA. So let me say, yeah, I'm gonna fix this RGBA later. So yes, and what else? Then the margin bottom will be applied to paragraph and to the H1 as well as, yeah, that's all, I guess. Max margin bottom. Let's try 30 pixels. And the H1, which is on the top of the code, will be also margin bottom 30 pixels. The only thing that I do not understand is why, oh, okay, maybe I did not apply the span on my H1, of course. So it's never gonna work, right? So the fresh is inside a span, and the fruits inside a span as well. Oops, not fresh, but fruits. Then, yes, I guess this is enough. And the paragraph already fixed. Did I fix the paragraph inside the text box? Yes or not? No, I didn't. This will be 500. And the button, finally, I guess, a bit more border radius. 40 pixels for the border radius. There is a point in the border radius that if you put 200, it's not gonna change, right? So this is okay. Okay, all right. So of course, this is not the final version. No worries. This the code will be finished. The entire banner will be finished in the next video, because this one is just taking too long, and I'm sorry about that, but I really like to explain in detail. I want you to learn why you were doing this or why you were doing that, and for me it takes time to explain in detail, especially for those just starting and coding. Of course, I need to align this list in vertically with this block here, and the way I'm going to do that is by just going there to the banner flex and saying align items center. All right, so let's just remove the cannot actually remove. If I remove this background, you cannot see anything, but I'm going to remove the borders at least. So I'm going to remove the border from here. Just going to comment, and from container as well, where we can see how it's going. And then the pink from the navigation bar, I'm going to make it red. So I know it seems super different from the template, but no worries, we are still in the process, okay? And this is the way I think the best for you to learn. So what I was going to do, just instead of background pink for the navigation bar, I'm going to give what is the navigation in there. I'm going to, instead of pink, this is going to be red, so you can see how it looks like, okay? So of course, not finished, not ideal. Let's give a bit of padding so you can have an idea about how it's going to look like. So this is what we have so far. In the next video, I am going to position the strawberry here and the yellow graphic in there and make the animations for you. We also have a kind of stripe, or yeah, we have a block in here with a bit of transparency. This will be in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one. I apologize for the long video, but I hope you enjoyed the process. So check the links below in the description. I'm also gonna let the links here in the end of this video. Subscribe to the channel. This is gonna help a lot for us to keep growing. And then have a nice day or evening, wherever you are, and thanks.